Welcome to Search the Scriptures. Once again, in today's study, we are returning to the little village of Bethany, just outside of the city of Jerusalem, one day before Jesus comes riding into Jerusalem on a donkey on that day that we know as Palm Sunday, when the Jews celebrate him as the King of the Jews. He returns to Lazarus' home. Lazarus is not dead anymore. He's alive. There's a special celebration thrown in the honor of Jesus. And when Jesus is there at this celebration, just a few days before the Passover feast, Mary comes into the room with perfume. And it tells us in verse number 3 that she took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume, and she poured it out on Jesus' feet. And she wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. What a beautiful gesture on the part of Mary. We're told that Judas Iscariot, in the very next verse, objects to this extreme expense, this extravagant offering being poured out on the feet of Jesus. It says that it was worth a year's wages. And why wasn't this money given to the poor? Why was it poured out on the feet of Jesus? What an extraordinary and extravagant gift that occurred here at the home of Lazarus. Mary takes something that was her life savings, her dowry, her everything. It was like emptying everything out in her hope chest, so to speak, and getting rid of it all at once, not a little bit at a time, but everything being given over to Jesus. I wonder how many times in our life we're ready to just give Jesus everything, as Mary was. There was no getting this back. There was no hope of this ever returning. This wasn't as if it was something that she invested in hopes that someday, somehow, it would come back to her, that it would grow, that it would bear interest. No, the fragrance filled the room. And as with any fragrance, it will linger for a while, but eventually it will completely and totally disappear. I wonder why Mary hadn't taken this perfume and anointed, let's say, her brother's body when he had died. This was something precious to her that she didn't even use at that event, yet she poured it out onto the feet of Jesus. Are you ready in your life to pour everything out to the Lord? And to let that fragrance fill the room and touch everybody and everybody enjoy it, but with the realization that that enjoyment is going to be fleeting. It's not going to last for very long. We need to always be willing and ready to pour out our everything before the Lord. And know that when we do, we're going to be criticized. Now people are going to say, why on earth did you do that? Wouldn't there have been a better use for that? Why did you give so much? Why did you take so much of your offering, of your finances? Why did you take so much of your time? Don't you know that you could have spent it with your family? You could have spent that money on your family. You could have spent that time with your family. Why are you doing all of that? Why are you going to all of that effort just for that? Well, look at Jesus' response to her. It was well worth the effort. It was worth the cost, worth the price, worth it all being poured and spilled out. Jesus said, leave her alone. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. When the Lord moves upon you to do something, you need to seize the moment and you need to do it. And you may think, well, this sounds crazy. This is a lot of money. This is a lot of time. I've saved a long time for this. I mean, it's my vacation. Why should I take my vacation and go to the mission field? Why should I take my money and give to a missionary? Why should I do all of that? Why should I make this? But aren't there better ways to do that? Don't argue with the Lord when the Lord says, give. Especially when it's something that, man, you just wouldn't do on your own. Something that just doesn't quite make sense. When you are moved on in that way to give, you can almost guarantee it's the Lord. It's not the enemy telling you to do it. It's not your flesh telling you to do it. It's God telling you to do it. What would the Lord speak to you today that you have held up, that you have considered precious to yourself, that you have saved a long time for, that He might be saying today, you know what? That belongs to me. And I want you to give it. There's nothing like giving extravagantly. It's nothing like giving a car away, giving a week's pay away, giving a day's pay away. There's nothing like that fragrance that fills the room. Yeah, you're going to be criticized for it. But look what we have here, a story centuries later, millennia later, that we are still talking about. That fragrance that filled the room. What can you do to release that kind of a fragrance in your life? Why don't you ask the Lord today what He would have you to break and to spill out upon His feet? I hope this study's been a blessing to you today. Hope you're having a great day so far, and may God richly bless the rest of your day.